How do you land on Mars? Very carefully. Your spacecraft hurtles toward the planet at thousands of miles per hour, so you'll have to hit the brakes in a hurry. First, your capsule needs a heat shield. It protects the spacecraft inside from the heat and friction of entry into the atmosphere. Friction slows you down over 90%, but not enough to land safely. Use a parachute to slow down even more. Still, falling at over 100 miles per hour, you need the right system to land safely. Here are some options. With a small to mid-size rover, use a cushion of airbags along with retro rockets. Impact at 30 miles an hour and bounce to a stop. With a large lander, use retro rockets and landing legs to touch down, going about 6 miles an hour. Or with a large heavy rover, use a big jetpack to slow down to under 2 miles an hour. Then gently lower it on cables to land on its wheels. Any way you do it, you'll need skill and hard work. There's nothing easy about landing on Mars.
NASA is now preparing to take us to Mars, the same way they took us to the Moon. This time, a small cadre of computer experts will astound us with photos created by the new digitized computer graphics which didn't exist in 1969. Next time, we will have no way of determining the truth. Since the faked Apollo moon landings in 1969, NASA has moved on to faking Mars landings with the 1976 Viking, 1997 Pathfinder, and 2007 Phoenix. Even assuming Mars was an actual spherical desert planet, as NASA claims, it is impossible for them to have safely landed the probes based on their own trials and statistics. They say the surface pressure on Mars is only 0.3% the surface pressure on Earth, and equivalent to the pressure at about 23 miles above Earth.
Both the planets Earth and Mars have their own atmosphere, but both are structured very differently. According to Wikipedia, the Martian atmosphere is very thin and varies in air pressure. At the peak of Olympus Mons, a volcano 3 times as tall as Everest, the atmospheric pressure is as low as 0.0043 psi. In the pit of Hellas Planitia, the largest crater on Mars, the air pressure is 0.16 psi. Whereas the surface level pressure is 0.087 psi. By comparison, our own planet's atmosphere has a sea level pressure of 14.7 psi.
On this Earth, if you jump out of a plane too high and pull your chute too soon, that chute will wrap itself up and will never deploy. I called up the sky jumpers when I started thinking along these lines, and I can't. Let me think how high. Well, I think you got to be below 15,000 feet, okay? Or that chute just ain't got enough air pressure to make it open up.
To verify Renee's statement, I emailed Sydney skydivers to ask how high one can ascend before a chute would stream and fail to fill up. Their prompt response confirmed what Renee had said. Normal jump height for skydivers is 14,000 feet. Up to this, height is not an issue.
First of all, Mars has a very, very slender atmosphere. It's 0.1% of the surface pressure here on Earth. 0.1% is about equivalent to 120,000 feet up. There is no way that you could open a parachute up there. And if you did, it wouldn't mean anything. It would fall just like the feather falls in the vacuum chamber. So how in the hell are you parachuting that load down to the surface of that planet? Which is what they claim to have done each time. It's a matter of straightforward physics. You can't do it here on Earth. You can't do it there on Mars. Okay, and even if you did open it, at that kind of pressure, what kind of resistance? Would it hold up 10 pounds or 2 pounds or an ounce? Even if you could get it open, how much would it hold up?
In 1975, NASA launched its first 2 landing probes, Vikings 1 and 2. Both landing probes weighed 572 kilograms, which is 1,261 pounds.
after the lander was detached, rockets were used to slow it down to 560 miles an hour at an altitude of 800,000 feet. Then it was allowed to fall 781,000 feet under Martian gravity before a parachute was deployed at 19,000 feet. At 4,600 feet, this chute was detached, and NASA tells us that it had a velocity of 145 miles an hour. Then rocket engines under computer control landed it. Why don't I believe one word there?
Just wasn't it?
The terminal velocity at the time the chute was deployed was about 4,300 feet per second, 3,000 miles an hour, which is faster than a speeding bullet. And in a matter of 14,000 feet, that the chute operating under near vacuum conditions reduced the lander's speed to 145 miles an hour. Then the next probe was a 97. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Reminder. It came in at 16,600 mph, was jettisoned to plunge bold against the fringes of the Martian atmosphere without using retro rockets to enter orbit. As usual, there were two different histories given by NASA. The first states that by some miracle, during the next minute, its speed was reduced to 1,000 miles an hour. The second states that it was jettisoned at 5,300 miles, and its speed was reduced in 30 minutes while it fell to 80 miles. The first case, the deceleration would have been incredible. In the second case, it would be 80 miles high while still doing 4,280 miles an hour. So they can't even get these stories straight.
Let's take a look at the supposed InSight landing.
Once InSight slows to about 400 meters per second, it will deploy its 12-meter diameter supersonic parachute. The parachute will deploy nominally at about Mach 1.7.
Right here is where the hoax becomes obvious, since no parachute is going to open in an atmosphere that is virtually a vacuum.
Standing by for touchdown. Touchdown confirmed.
This never gets old.
No, it doesn't, Rob. Control
what a
room
relief.
just erupted.
Unfortunately, most of these people probably have no idea that this operation is a hoax. But it's important to point out that it doesn't take much research to quickly discover that a parachute is impossible to deploy in near vacuum that the Martian atmosphere is supposed to be. So why don't they bother to confirm that what is claimed is also possible? Like so many people in this society, they've chosen to ignore things they don't want to think about, especially if it affects their income and their ability to maintain the belief that what they're doing is of benefit to society. And let's not forget those who know they're perpetrating a criminal hoax at taxpayer expense. They just joined the legions of corrupt individuals in private industry and the government who relentlessly parasitize the rest of society. There are many more aspects to this hoax, but the lie about the parachute landing makes it clear that the whole operation is a lie. So what is NASA really doing with all of those billions of dollars?